Well, it's great to have you with us today on this Hump Day Wednesday. It is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Along with Debbie Georgiani, I am Jerry Usher. We have got the show team, Rich Jesse on the controls, Jeff Burson on social media, and I think Ryan Penny is probably screening today. Ryan usually is, or one of the Michaels. So, Debbie, we are off and running again here on another program, and this one is going to be a little bit, there are going to be a lot of mixed emotions on today's conversation, but I know a lot of people are going to have something to say.
Yeah, and what we can do about it as well for the future. This came from one of our listeners, and it was suggested, so we always try to make that happen. We put it on the show calendar. Sometimes your suggestions, we have to put them out for maybe a couple months, and sometimes with current events that are happening in the world, we tend to reschedule some of these suggestions. So bear with us, and this one came from one of our loyal listeners, and the question is your rural parish threatened with closure? Okay, so it doesn't even have to be in a rural area. There are parishes that are closing, unfortunately, for various reasons. We can talk about those reasons in the Catholic Church, or we can also talk about what we can do as Catholics to make sure, because we are the church. Okay, the faithful are the church. So we want to make sure we pack those pews and keep them packed, and everybody have a vibrant ministry life in the parish community. So we want to hear from you. So if you've had this happen where you've had a statement come down from your bishop saying, Saint so-and-so is about ready to close, we want to hear what the community response has been, how you have felt. Here's the number, 1-833-288-3986.
Yeah, I'm glad you widened that out a little bit. Our listener, Jenny, does live in a rural area, but this could happen to anybody in any size town or region. And if you've, like Debbie said, if you've lived through this, what was the impact? Was it emotionally difficult? Debbie, people come from parishes that have multiple generations in their families. Everybody's been married, everybody's been baptized, everybody's been buried from that parish. And sometimes parishes have to merge together and form a single parish, and sometimes some are just closed. And Debbie, I know you did some research on this, right? You've got some numbers to show as to what's going on in this regard.
Well, it's very alarming. I mean, a lot of folks, especially last year and the beginning of this year, they have posted articles about this. That, it's very unfortunate. We have a declining, our younger population of who are baptized Catholic. They are claiming now, a lot of them are saying they're spiritualists. Wicca is one of the biggest growing, I guess, I don't know if you call it religions. They're one of the biggest growing type of beliefs happening. Islam is growing at a rapid rate. And we as Catholics are not really having the big families that much. And a lot of people, with marriage under attack, all sorts of reasons. People are moving away. Now, they did say that, some places like in the Northeast are having trouble keeping some of the bigger parishes, sustained and keeping them going, but that people were moving out or moving down south or moving to the Southwest. And that is very true, Jerry, because the parishes here in Arizona, I mean, there are some parishes that are just bursting at the seams. So that is true. And that is encouraging, because at least there are Catholics participating. But that's also very sad for the parishes that have been there for, 50 years, 100 years. I mean, to close them, what do they do with them? Do they sell them off? There's also talk, Jerry, about making it a multi-purpose type usage, and that's not appropriate for a Catholic, for a Catholic church. So I mean, there's so many things, so many factors, Jerry, that play into this topic. But my research proved to be very alarming. I can just tell you that. I just felt discouraged. I wanted to say to young folks, please get married and please have kids and please raise them Catholic.
Yeah, I'm alarmed too, and not surprised, though. I hate to say that, by the statistics that you mentioned. A lot of people leaving Catholicism and Christianity in general for, I think it's safe we can call Wicca a religion, because they worship the devil, I guess, so it is a form of some kind of religion, but certainly one we want to stay very, very clear of. But, I'd love to hear if any priests are listening right now. Have you had to maybe oversee the closing of a parish or the merging of 2 or 3 parishes together? Anyone who is maybe hearing rumblings in your parish that this might happen, what kind of emotions does that stir up within you? Do you think it's a good idea? Have you had a parish merging? Maybe you've had a merging experience already, and you found that, hey, we've got some great new Catholic family members in our pews here. It's really worked out really well. So here's the number. Any take you want to have on this topic, 833-288-3986.
And the other thing that I learned from the research that I did is that a lot of people kind of blame this on the bishops of different areas, because they're the ones that make the final decision in that particular diocese and in that particular region. And that's unfortunate because they what are they going to do? They can't, they need the funds to keep it going. We need people. We need Catholic practicing folks, the faithful, to keep the parishes sustained. It's just that simple, folks. And if we don't have people in the pews, we have a problem. So I personally believe, Jerry, you didn't ask me yet, but I'm just going to say it. We need to get out there and really live out our baptismal call, be evangelizers, and invite people to church with us, invite them. So, and say, please, come with me on this Sunday, go out to breakfast afterwards, talk about the faith. We need to start getting out there into the communities and welcoming people.
Yeah, and of course, one of the other very unfortunate realities that leads to this sometimes is a vocation shortage, vocations crisis. I really believe, and Debbie does too, that we've rounded that corner, and we are headed in a very, very good direction. A lot of great young men and women becoming priests and religious these days. It's going to take some time, though. We're not going to return to the 3, 4, 5 priest parishes and having religious women and men, for example, in hospitals and schools all the time, very, very visible. That's going to take some time. But it gives us, I think, a real urgency to pray for more vocations to religious life and to priesthood. And like you said, Debbie, we just have to, the family is in disarray right now based on, how the world understands family and what the world is trying to do to the traditional family, especially the Christian believing family. So we've got a lot of things we need to shore up here. And it's going to take God's grace, Debbie. I don't think everything else is going to fall short except unless God does this. Very
true. We definitely need to pray for very sound, healthy vocations. With the church abuse scandal, that played another factor. Folks got disillusioned, they walked away, and it's very unfortunate because our faith is truth. The Eucharist is the truth. The body, blood, soul, and divinity of our Lord and Savior, right in the Eucharist, right in the Catholic Church. So let's talk about this from various angles. We have folks calling Ryan right now, and you can join them at 833-288-3986.
Third Millennium Media presents Debbie Georgianni.
The world tells us not to be merciful, and we as Catholic Christians are called to take a step back and look at it in a different way. We must practice mercy, especially if we want to receive mercy.
Debbie Georgianni, co-host of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, wants to visit your parish retreat or conference. Invite Debbie Georgianni today online at thirdmillenniummedia.com.
Coming up later today on Cresta in the Afternoon.
In his encyclical, The Redeemer of Mankind, Pope St. John Paul II states that the Holy Eucharist, in its full magnitude and essential meaning, is at one and the same time a sacrifice sacrament, a communion sacrament, and a presence sacrament. What does that mean? We'll talk with Dr. Lawrence Feingold about the Eucharist.
Cresta in the Afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Have you heard who's reading the register? Why, it's Matthew Bunson.
The National Catholic Register is that rarest of institutions in Catholic media, striving always to be faithful, orthodox, timely, and dedicated to journalistic excellence. Catholics know they can always depend on the Register for the news they need to know from an authentically Catholic perspective.
For a 3-month free subscription to the National Catholic Register, go to ncregister.com and click on the 3 months free banner.
Great to have you with us here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. It is your show. You drive it. If you've been through a parish closing, a parish merger, maybe you're hearing from the diocesan offices that may be happening to your parish. If you've got any experience with this, share it, because I have a feeling, Debbie, it's going to be happening more rather than less until things really get shored up with family and vocations and so forth. Here's the number. It's 833-288-3986. And someone who has certainly, I'm sure she's covered this and many other important topics is Teresa Tomeo on Catholic Connection. Folks, tune in tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. On most of these EWTN affiliates, it is Catholic Connection. It's Teresa Tomeo. Always exciting. Always a very lively conversation with Teresa.
Love her show. Okay, there is an open phone line. We'd love to hear from you about these parishes in rural areas closing or potential closings. If you've heard, rumors around the community, oh my goodness, Saint so-and-so is might be closing if we don't start supporting it or something of that nature. Or you've heard the bishop make a statement that we're in trouble in some of the dioceses. Please call us 833-288-3986. And let's go to Kelly. And Kelly is one of our loyal listeners in Margate, New Jersey, listening on the EWTN app. Hi, Kelly. Welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon. So I just wanted to say, okay, so we know where we are. And when we look back, and a lot of people like to blame the, closing of parishes, the schools can't support themselves, on, the parents aren't doing a good job and the culture is so out of alignment with morality. But the real answer is that the church, the culture is the way it is because the church has not led us for my entire life. Although I did go to Catholic school for 12 years and did get some formation, hardly did I learn my faith. So I really think that we're in this state we are because we've been misled by people leading the church and making decisions and leading parishes for 60 years or more. And the culture is, the result. We have the result we have because the church didn't stand firm in truth. It became a watered down faith, tried to include everything and welcome in this and, liturgical abuses and just false teaching, some blatantly false teaching. So we really need to restore our faith to the integrity that it is and stand firm in the faith and encourage our pastors and take accountability and responsibility to, even if we have pastors that aren't listening, we have to, this is our church. We have to make it happen. These are our children that are being swallowed by the culture of death and our grandchildren. So I just encourage everyone to get to know your faith so well that if you get excuses from somebody in the hierarchy or somebody in the clergy, you know your faith so well that you can't be shoved aside or put away with any excuse making. That's all I have to say.
Well, no, Kelly, as always, you've had some very, very wise insights to share with us. And Debbie, I think this touches a little bit on what you were saying before in terms of the defections on the part of lay people from the Catholic faith. And I think we all can stand in agreement that there has been several decades now of not the greatest catechesis. And as you said, Kelly, and sometimes there were a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. And as someone who spent 6 years in formation for the priesthood, I was in 2 seminaries. I was really kind of tied in. Debbie, you were really tied in to the official church, so to speak, as you worked in parishes for so many years. We've seen a lot, all three of us, Kelly, you, Debbie, and myself, and those of you who are listening. We've seen a lot. I do believe the pendulum is going back the other way. Like I said, I think it's going to still take a little bit of time. But as Kelly said, Debbie, it's up to us. We have to shore up our knowledge of the faith, and I would add prayer life. We have to have a very, very deep prayer life so that the faith that we learn will mean something in a pastoral, spiritual sense in our lives. What do you think, Debbie?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I just wanted to say, Kelly, as you were talking, our friend Mary Beth weighed in, and she said, if if she were like a priest, she would consider EWTN part of the tribe, Catholic radio in particular, because we're trying to get out there and to do exactly what you're saying, Kelly, to catechize in a sound way, to keep people informed, to engage the faithful. Okay, we've been baptized, Kelly, as priest, prophet, and king. Okay, let's get out there and live out our baptismal call. We are the church. I think sometimes people forget that. They always just focus on the hierarchy of the church, which is true. Of course, that is our lineage, okay? But we are the church as well. And it's very important that we do our part. Kelly, would you agree with that? Because I really think we're in a day and age where we've got to get people, I'm not saying go on the street corner and start screaming Bible passages, but close to it, Kelly. What do you think?
No, you can live out your faith everywhere you go. So, and it's important that the laity really require our pastors to serve us, because that is their job. Their job is to serve the faithful and to sacrifice for the faithful. And the only way a male becomes a man, and that includes in the priesthood, is through sacrifice and service. It's not a seat of honor. I mean, you have to be a priest, you have to be like a Navy SEAL. You have to be strong and have a mission and a purpose. And we need to be led by, that kind of passion. But we also have the responsibility to know what we deserve as people of God, and require our pastors to give us what we need. We need to be fed. We need to be nourished, because we then go out in the world and evangelize the world.
Absolutely, Kelly. Absolutely. We need to be fed the truth in a very strong way, in a real way, not watered down, not glossed over, not politically correct. We need the truth, and then we can go out there. I agree with you. And the other thing, too, I just want to say, Kelly, this should bring you a lot of just a good feeling of encouragement and hope for the future. The young men that I have seen come out of the seminary recently, oh my goodness, the ones who are newly ordained, Kelly, what you're describing, that's what these men are. They are men. They are strong. They know the faith inside and out. They're not going to compromise. They are leaders. And I felt so encouraged, and I get the privilege of going around, traveling around the country, helping stations with pledge drives, Kelly, and I've seen this in many of the dioceses, and I'm so excited about it, because these young men, but I agree with you, but they know they've got a heavy vocation in front of them, of service and sacrifice, just like you said, Kelly. So thank you so much for just reminding us. And by the way, we just want to tell you, we love your passion. Your passion is incredible. And you sent us possibly that you'll be interested in sharing your story for one of our series, for our Take Two Real Life series. Just to let you know, Kelly, we had so many folks weigh in about reversion stories that we're going to actually include that in probably the 8th book. This first book is about loved ones that telling the story of the perspective of like a parent telling of the story of their loved one who left the faith. So Kelly, we have you in the file, and hopefully we'll be in touch with you real soon. Thank you so very, very much from Margate, New Jersey.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly, for your call and for your listenership and your emails. Please pray for us, as we certainly do for you and all of our listeners. As we talk today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie about the whole notion of Catholic churches who once may have been thriving and vibrant, and maybe it was home to you and your family for generations, and some have closed, others are being talked about closing, merging, things like this. A lot of feelings, a lot of emotions go into this whenever this happens. Great things can happen as well, and that's what we want to hear from you about too. So either way, 833-288-3986. So we got Bill next. He is screened and ready to go in Concord, New Hampshire, listening on Hope FM. Hi, Bill. Welcome.
Thank you. So
Sure.
I just wanted to share with you that here in Concord, we had 3 churches, and they merged into one about 4 or 5 years ago. But we belonged to this beautiful little church called Sacred Heart Church. It was a Gothic church, a lot of strong families. We had a good choir. We had good pastors, and the diocese decided to close it because of the lack of priests. New England is having a hard time with sending guys to seminary. So, we survived it, but it was very, very painful. And there were people that left and either went to other churches or left the church altogether. So it was a very difficult thing. My wife and I have stayed members of the parish, the merged parish, so we have a good pastor. But it was a very, very hard thing, and we just decided we've just got to hang in there. The priest shortage is real, even though, we we kept thinking, well, why couldn't they have closed some of the other churches, but
Right.
It wasn't our call, I guess. So anyway, I just wanted to share that it was a very painful thing, but we have survived, so.
Well, Bill, thank you for calling in and sharing that. And thank you and your family for staying in the newly formed, I guess, merged parish, if you will. It breaks my heart, and I know Debbie's as well, to hear you talk about people who have maybe left the faith altogether. And the only thing I can say about that is it maybe goes back to Kelly's call. The faith formation over the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years has not been what it should have been. But, we all bear a certain responsibility as well to learn our faith, to know it, to live it, to have it be embedded in our hearts. And so for whatever reason, Debbie, I think people who leave the church over something like this are not fully formed in terms of what we believe as Catholics, because those of us who I pray that we are in that category, because of the Eucharist, because of the truth of the faith and the sacraments and so forth, like Peter said, Lord, to whom shall we go?
Absolutely. And you know what, Jerry, that's one of the reasons, and Bill, that's one of the reasons why I love the ministry Catholics Come Home. It was started by Tom Peterson. It's catholicscomehome.org. Thousands and thousands of folks have revisited the Catholic Church. We've got to get out there and do our part to help to form, catechize, teach, be there, and bring people back. Bill, I am just so happy that you and your wife decided to stay, to build your parish community. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that. It's tough. When a parish merges or closes, it's like, losing a house in foreclosure or something like that. It's a weird feeling. And I can just imagine how you guys felt, because you had your routine. You said it had a beautiful music ministry. You liked everything. And now all of a sudden, these two other parishes come together and lots of other people and different ideas and different leadership. And it changes. The dynamics change, and people, let's face it, people are very resistant to change, but change can be good. And you can see that if those that are willing to stay and make it happen. What do you think, Bill? Did I capture that okay?
Well, I think you did. The really painful part, too, is that the two churches that closed and merged into this one was torn down, and then our little Sacred Heart Church was converted into condominiums, and that was very sad, too. But, we got over it, and so, we're still very active in our parish, and so our faith is alive.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Well, Bill, God bless you, and we pray that your parish will just thrive to the heights that God wants you all to go to, and thank you for joining us from New Hampshire. We greatly appreciate that. Debbie, what this gets at for me, I think about this. I've never been in a situation where my parish had this possibility of closing or merging. In fact, the parish that I go to, we have 10 weekend masses. It is thriving.
You guys are thriving. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the wealthiest parish in the diocese. Of course, that's out a little further from where I live, like Indian Wells in that area. But I sometimes have thought about this, and I thought, how would I feel about this? Because there's such a sense of belonging, a sense of ownership. Mm-hmm. Debbie, we talk about this on pledge drives. We tell people, look at your Catholic radio station the way that you look at your parish. Have that sense of, this is mine. I belong here. I've gone here forever. So, yeah, I think it gets to a sense of, and a healthy sense of ownership. We feel like we belong in our parishes.
But that's the way it should be. It's so beautiful to have that feeling. That's why, like you said, Jerry, we tell people all the time during pledge drives, you are co-owners of the station. Take ownership. And with that comes your participation, your prayer, and the financial gifts that you can give. Same as in our parish community as well. So I agree with you. I know we have folks weighing in on social media and emailing us. Did you want to share something?
You know, I wanted to mention Mary watching on Facebook. It's EWTN Catholic Radio Facebook page. We're also on the YouTube account. And Mary said she watched a parish of 100 years. It was closed, sold, then became a funeral home. Okay. Another Catholic church closed and was sold and will become someone's home. That's quite interesting.
Oh,
and,
wow.
yeah, another church became storage for the three churches, all 100 years old, all in the Diocese of Sioux City, and all within 15 miles of each other. Wow, that's a lot of...
Sad. That's
yeah,
sad.
it's a lot to, yeah.
Well, there's so much that goes into the building of a church. You know, there's incredible symbolism and beautiful blessings that happen and relics that are there, which I know those are taken out. But I'm just saying there's so much. There's an emotional attachment to it and a history, and that is so unfortunate. Our churches should be thriving and should be expanding, not closing. And so we can be part of the solution, Jerry. Folks, weigh in on this, 833-288-3986.
Okay, we're going to get to more of your calls here in just a moment. Kyle and Matthew, and we've got Kathy being screened, and John is on hold as well. 833-288-3986. I think of, Debbie, the people who have bought the stained glass windows in memory of loved ones in the pews. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the families. Like when I was a seminarian, when I lived in Portland, Oregon, the rector of the cathedral, actually his grandfather built the cathedral. And when he was the rector there, the pastor or the rector, he oversaw its restoration. So it's a beautiful story, but it just brings to mind that there's a whole lot more invested in these parishes by people than just simply attending on Sunday Mass. So this is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, coming right back with your calls.
Father John Riccardo.
When you and I wake up every day, do we strive to know Jesus or not? Quick question to you and me right now. Is that what you and I are doing every single day?
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
And this is an EWTN Bookmark Brief. I'm Jug Keck. I just finished speaking with author Father William M. Watson, S.J. His book is True Heart, A Way to Selflessness, and it's published by Sacred Story Institute, available through our catalog. And tell us, Father, are there a lot of people looking for finding ways to be less selfish?
Well, we're going to try to increase that number, Doug.
Okay. And they might pick up this book, and by the end of it, they might find their way that way.
Right. And I used selflessness. In my adult programs, I talk about narcissism. But I think young adults want to be selfless. They want to contribute here or contribute there. So they see themselves as givers. And so I'm trying to tap into that language today.
True Heart, A Way to Selflessness, published by Sacred Story Institute. The author is Father William M. Watson, S.J. Thank you so much, Father.
Thank you, Doug.
Look for the entire interview coming soon on our network, and this has been an EWTN Bookmark Brief. Again, EWTNRC.com. And thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.
EWTN, teaching the truth.
I have wanted to thank you so very much. Thank God you guys are here for us. Believe it. I just can't believe all that you've done and how you've stuck with it. Many times when I think I can't do something, I think about some of the things that you've talked about.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
I'm Gloria Purvis.
And I'm Deacon Harold. The Morning Glory team talks about morality and mental health.
Tomorrow morning, 7 Eastern. Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Really having a productive conversation today about parish closings, and it's a sad fact that it happens around the country and around the world. Actually, I just in my research I read that Canada was closing a lot of parishes as well. So this is going on internationally. We need to talk about it, and this is a healthy discussion. Real quickly, Jerry, I know you want to share just a shout out to our friends at Archangel Radio, but real quickly, I just want to share, going back to Mary Beth's statement that she weighed in on when she said, if she were a priest, she would consider Catholic Radio, part of the tribe. Well, we're an extension. Our priests, if you go to Mass once a week, our priests get us in the homily for about 11 to 15, 20 minutes once a week, okay? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, EWTN is here for you. And this is important. And I sometimes I think it's so easily accessible, Jerry, that we don't realize that it is a precious jewel in our midst. Our local Catholic radio stations, and of course EWTN. It's a precious jewel. I say it all the time. I hope some folks agree with me on that.
Well, you mentioned Archangel Radio. We are very proud. They're an affiliate of EWTN in Mobile, Alabama, and they recently won the 2019 NAPI Award for the best AM radio station, and that was awarded by a local Mobile magazine, and they honor the best of the community in a number of categories. So our deep and sincere congratulations to our longtime partner in Mobile, Archangel Radio. Their hard work in producing local programming and presenting EWTN Radio has paid off for their listeners with the NAPI Award for 2019. That's a cool name, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. Round of applause. Okay. I want to get this town correct, okay? Because we do the Station of the Cross pledge drive. So Kyle is up next. Is it Oswego? Did I get that right? In New York?
Oswego, yeah.
On Station of the Cross. First time caller. Kyle, help me out here.
Hi, it's Oswego.
Oswego. Okay, I got it. Close. Okay. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, thank you. So I wanted to touch base on all of our parishes were consolidated recently, except for one administrative parish and one mission parish in Minetto. And it's been a real problem for a lot of people up here because Oswego's not a big community. I mean, it's just a decent size, but there's not a lot of Catholics left anymore. A lot of them have moved out or have just left the church for, some sort of Protestantism and things like that. But we've lost numbers since the consolidation. People have left. People just stopped going to Mass in general. And it's heartbreaking because it's almost like a homeless feeling. And it's difficult. It's difficult to deal with. And a lot of people don't like the new church, for example. It's not aesthetically pleasing, I guess, to some people, but other people just aren't comfortable there. It's not very big. It's not. Some people, I guess, just can't feel what they're supposed to feel when they're there. They don't. But also, too, there's a lack of general catechesis, as people have said before. They call it, and as I've been listening, and that's a serious problem, especially for people who try to catechize other people, and sometimes they don't know what they're talking about, and it leads to a general confusion. But I think a lot of people in Oswego also feel like we've been forgotten by our diocese. Because there's just it's complicated to explain, I guess, in a way.
Well, you used a word.
It's a great loss.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it is. Like I said, I've tried to imagine what this is like, and I can't simply because I haven't been even close to that, and it doesn't look like I will be with my parish, Kyle. But you used a word that I think is very, very powerful, and it really ties back in with what we were talking about before, about this feeling of belonging, the sense of my parish, this is my home, my family. And Debbie, Kyle used the word, if you felt a little bit homeless there, and I guess I can kind of relate to that because, like we talked about, generations grow up in certain parishes and families and so forth, and you've got the difficult situation sometimes of 2 or 3 parishes being different ethnicity, a Polish parish, a German parish, an Italian parish, whatever. Which one is going to survive, and the ones that don't survive, how are those people going to feel? So, like you said, tough choices and decisions bishops have to make, but these are sometimes the consequences, I guess.
It is. It absolutely is. And Kyle, may I suggest something? Maybe you've done this already. If you haven't, I would encourage you to do this. I would call the diocese and share what you just shared on the radio just now. I would let the diocese know that there's people in the pews that are feeling this way, and because there's things that they can do at the diocesan level. They can come and visit the parish, they can help the parish, there's town hall meetings they can do, all sorts of things to get people to feel that they belong again, to get energized, to get excited about the future of their parish. I don't know if you've done that already, but I would definitely recommend that you do that because they need to know. A lot of times everybody thinks the diocese knows what's going on at the parish level. A lot of times they don't. I mean, everybody's kind of functioning in a fast-paced way. What have you thought about that, Kyle?
Yeah, we've actually my parish that was closed was a consecrated parish. The whole thing was, and we have a group here in town that's actually fought it. I mean, they petitioned Rome They've written multiple letters to the diocese. They've included canon lawyers, multiple canon lawyers, to see what can be done. And and it's not even just that one parish, but it's all the parishes in general that it's a problem for. It's that one, obviously it's special, but it's all of them. I know people that have talked to the diocese about it and have told them what's going on and voiced their concerns. I don't know what's happened there. I don't know what's been said or what kind of responses have been given, but we're still kind of there in this. But it's like a temporal purgatory. We're just kind of hanging and waiting.
Right.
And it gets nerve-wracking. But one thing I try to tell everybody, though, is consolidations, as hard as they are and as difficult as they are, we need to be thankful to God that we have a parish to celebrate Mass in, because that is more important than anything.
That's a great, great.
People have that,
Yeah, that's a great way to put it in perspective, Kyle. Thank you so much for your call. Appreciate that from Oswego, New York, listening on the Station of the Cross. And we will we hope to hear from you again, Kyle, on a future program. We've got Matthew, Kathy, Maureen, and Maria. I just wanted to, Debbie, if I may, we got a text from actually a good friend of ours who is one of the managers of an affiliate group here in the United States, and he says, great show and great topic. I'm on the road doing a pastor visit. The church that I was baptized in received my first communion and confirmation and closed, but for very different reasons. A new church, this was in the Diocese of Columbus, Ohio, was built to accommodate a growing congregation, so that's praise God for that. The old church building was sold and is now an antique store. Even though it was sold for a good reason, it still breaks my heart every time I go by it, as I remember all of the important things that happened in my life in that very special building.
Right. Exactly what we were just talking about with Kyle. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. Okay, well, we've got our work to do. We got to get out there in the communities and really teach the faith to others. Let's hear what Matthew has to say in Concord, Massachusetts, on the Station of the Cross. Also a first-time caller. Hi, Matthew. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Just
yes,
fine.
Perfectly.
Oh, perfect. I'm sorry. I was really compelled to call after hearing the topic. My friend, he told me about the station. And my cousin, he lives in Dearborn, Michigan. And he said that it used to be a Polish, a Catholic community. It's completely a Muslim community now. All of them have migrated. And they're doing prayers. They have like loudspeakers set up in the streets. They do prayers. So it's very alarming.
Well, Matthew, I shared that at the beginning of the show, that Islam is one of the fastest growing religions. And we have heard this before. Actually, our dear friend who runs pilgrimages, international pilgrimages all over the world, is Steve Ray. And he has a lot of talks and YouTube videos on this exact subject. He's from that area. And Matthew, it's very alarming. They're having children. They are spreading the faith, and people are well, but here's the interesting, Matthew. I also read in my let me just change gears here, because this is how I work at 53 years old. I also read that there are people in Islam that are seeking Christianity. Okay, so that's interesting, Matthew. And so that gives me an idea that we need to do our work. We need to be the best Christians we can be out on the streets and to teach others. Because go ahead, Matthew.
We have to spread the good word. So we got to spread the good word. It's the only way.
Yes, the good news of Jesus Christ.
Even in my city, they gave a permit to the Muslims to open up a mosque on Main Street. None of the churches can even be, they're a quarter miles at the most away from Main Street. How did they get a permit, but they won't let us have a permit to have a church?
Well, I'm not up on this a whole lot, Matthew and Debbie and everybody else, but I think one thing the Muslims are doing, and they have every right to do this. God bless them. They're, like you said, Debbie, they're having children and having families, which many Christian groups are not. But they are also getting into public office, running for office and being elected. And I heard, Debbie, there was one, I don't know if it was Dearborn or some jurisdiction in the Michigan region where actually Sharia law was being either proposed or was being imposed or something.
That's what I was talking about.
What's that, Matthew?
That's what I was talking about. They have Sharia there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so, the answer, of course, is not to be anything but charitable and loving to our Muslim friends, but to, like you said, Debbie, we've got to take our faith seriously, and our faith calls for openness to life by couples who are blessed by God to have children and to have families, and then form those families. This is a multifaceted conversation, but all the pieces kind of come together right now, Debbie, and what's been said on the show before today.
Well, and yes, absolutely. And the other thing too, Matthew, all in religious tolerance, okay? We quote unquote as a country allow these things. But folks, it's a slippery slope because, there's religious tolerance and then there's wanting to force their beliefs on us. And that's not right. Okay. So we have to be firm in our beliefs and set our boundaries, and we can still be religiously tolerant. Would you agree with that, Matthew? I mean, we've got to really distinguish the boundaries here.
Here's the problem. This country was founded on Christianity, and I have a question. What if they're not showing religious tolerance to us? That's the problem. They stoned and threw bottles at a missionary group that walked through Dearborn and just was praising the good word. And then they were attacked. They didn't attack back, but they were attacked. How do you go up against that?
Well, yeah, you don't want to return force with force, violence with violence, and this is probably, God willing, just a small subset of Islam. I know the church has relations with Islam and has ambassadors and so forth, interfaith dialogue and these sorts of things. But yeah, Debbie, I mean, I think you put your finger right on the head of the nail there.
Well, Christians are being persecuted at alarming rates, Matthew, all over the world. And I just want to say this, okay? If that was me and I was a missionary and I was walking through the streets and bottles were thrown at me by people of other faith traditions, okay, I would do everything possible to get on the local news and to express what happened to me. One of the problems that we have as Christians is we passively cower and walk away. No, I would get on every news outlet and get my story told, because when an evil happens, Matthew, we have to expose it, and you can't just run away from it. And so I don't know if and I'm not saying, I wouldn't throw bottles back or do anything like that, because that would not be Christian, but I would expose what happened. What do you think about that, Matthew, before we let you go?
That sounds like the only plan that we have. We just have to stay vigilant.
Yep. Amen. Thanks for listening to the show, and thank you for being prompted by the Spirit to be a caller. I hope you call again, Matthew. By the way, Matthew means a gift of God. I named my son Matthew. You have a very special name, so I'm sure you're living up to it, though.
Thanks, Matthew, for calling into the program, as Debbie said. Okay, next up is Kathy, listening in Redland, California on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Kathy. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I'll be kind of quick because I know you have other people in line. I think I have maybe just a little different perspective. Out here in California, our parishes are growing at alarming rates, especially with immigration and huge rise in Vietnamese, Filipino, and Hispanic communities. So we've had several cities where 2 or 3 parishes would close, and we call them out here mega churches, that seat 1,200 to 2,000 people. And one of the things that happened in one of the communities, the strong parish ministers all came together from the smaller parishes and really built up and built a new community. And it was beautiful to watch. It's always tragic when we close doors on a parish. A lot of the parishes that are being closed out here, though, they're just in such difficult maintenance and improvement needs situations that financially it's just not financially feasible, and most of them don't have a big enough plant or plot of land where they can actually develop a bigger parish anyway. And 2 of them One of them was sold and actually became something else. One of them, though, it actually is. Some of the buildings are still being used for retired priests housing and some things like that. So I think there really is an opportunity, even though it's really difficult, especially if that's the parish you grew up in, to see them close. But at the same time, that's a new opportunity for us as ministers and people that are involved in parish community to really come together with the ministers from the other parishes to really build up a whole new ministry. And some of our larger mega churches now are doing amazingly well. They've become kind of the seat for the diocese of the larger activities like ordinations in the Chrism Mass and things like that, where more people from the diocese actually have an opportunity to come in and participate. So I just wanted to throw that out, that as ministers, and it's really difficult because you're saying goodbye to your home parish, but at the same time you're welcoming a new opportunity to spread the message of the gospel and really to reach out into that new community at large to invite them in. So anyway, I'll get off and listen now.
No, Kathy, you don't have to hang up just yet, because I think we're in the same Diocese of San Bernardino. I live out in the Coachella Valley area here, just not too far from you. But yeah, I mean, as painful as it always probably is going to be to have your longtime parish closed or merged or whatever, if it's for the sake of building a larger parish, especially a mega parish, that's got to take a lot of that difficult emotions away from that. And I agree with you, Kathy. From what I'm seeing, I've lived in this diocese for about 7 years, and I think it's one of the U.S. Church's best kept secrets. I think geographically it's the 5th largest diocese in the country, and I know that they have the vocation posters. Kathy, you've probably seen them in the churches, and we've got 50, 55, 60 men studying to be for the priesthood. Many of them, most of them, in fact, Hispanic, Vietnamese, Filipino, what have you. So, Kathy and Debbie, a lot of great things going on here. And Kathy's pointed out that, there can be, really positive things that come out of a need to close a parish. It doesn't have to be negative. It can be, hey, we got more people. We got to build bigger churches. Wow.
Yep. Kathy, I love your take on this. I actually texted over to Jerry. I love Kathy's take on this. It is so beautiful and very encouraging. And I feel the same way in Arizona, Kathy. We call them mega parishes as well. And here's some more encouraging news. And it follows what you said, Kathy, that, in Latin America, the faith is alive. Okay. Catholicism is alive. Brazil, it's alive, folks. And so thank goodness for our wonderful Hispanic brothers and sisters that are keeping the faith alive, having children, the families are growing in the parish community. Our Filipino brothers and sisters, that you guys are just rocking it. It's amazing what you're doing in the Catholic churches. Our Vietnamese friends, oh my goodness, your faith is alive. Vocations are coming out of Africa in great ways. We know that, and it's beautiful. And they're coming to the United States and Canada, and they are serving, and they're serving with a vibrancy that we've never seen before in the Catholic Church. Our African brothers and sisters are the priests that are coming from different countries in Africa. Boy, oh boy, do they know how to celebrate liturgy. They are alive and joy filled, and it is contagious in such a good way. So Kathy, I just want to say thank you for reminding me of that. I wanted to share that data, and now I was able to with your call. Any final comments?
And what Jerry just said is true. We have a house of formation here. We do have a lot of men. Some of them go to Chicago or San Antonio for theology and philosophy, but we have our own house of formation, and it was developed all by lay community, to aid the vocations movement here in California, and we're just so blessed. Everything is a difficult struggle every day, not just filling the pews, because we want to fill the pews with people that really are on fire for Christ. So, I'm not sure that filling seats helps as much as really trying to just draw more attention to Christ in his mission with helping us with the world. And we have quite a few priests from Nigeria and Uganda now, and they are such an amazing gift because they come with different spiritual backbone, if you will say, because they grew up in such different circumstances. And so for them, the message of the gospel takes on a whole new perspective, and it's beautiful. So
it is.
That's all.
Oh, it is. It is, Kathy. Thank you. And I know you're praying for this, Kathy, and I'm going to ask the world to pray for this. We are due to have a new bishop named for our diocese. I don't think it happened. Often it happens on Tuesdays. I was looking online. I didn't see anything. So Gerald Barnes has been the shepherd of our diocese for many years, and we ask God to richly bless him as he has reached the mandatory age of submitting his resignation. But pray for our new bishop, whoever that's going to be, because those are always important things, Debbie. So thank you again, Kathy, for the call.
Thank you, Kathy. And I know you have a dear friend who's a priest from Nigeria, I believe, and Jerry, I have two from Nigeria, and I agree with Kathy. If you ever want to go to in a traditional Nigerian liturgy, oh my goodness, it is so much fun. I can't even describe it. When I say fun, I say it in a spiritual way, folks. It is so reverent and beautiful, but vibrant and alive and joy-filled. It is incredible. And so our faith is alive and well. Let's hear what Maureen has to say in Madison, Indiana on the EWTN app. Hi, Maureen. Welcome.
Hi, Debbie. Thanks so much. I'm in Madison, Indiana, and I happen to live in a rectory that was not abandoned, but it was falling down, and it's next to one of the oldest, I believe it's the second oldest Catholic church in Indiana, and unfortunately that was closed 25 years ago, and the remaining church in Madison, in downtown historic Madison, Prince of Peace, was just restored, thanks to all the contributions by the parishioners and Father Chris, who got some of the best artisans to come in and redo the stained glass windows and the altar and painting the stations of the cross and the side altars and that. So the pews were saved, they were redone, they were sent up to Michigan, and we have now every hour, on the hour the bells ring, before Mass the bells ring, and it kind of sends out a message, and the steeple was restored also. It's just beautiful, a gold cross on top of the steeple, and we're right on the Ohio River, and it's so beautiful, and it was done rather quickly considering that we're such a small town. And thanks to Father Chris Craig, who actually grew up here in Little Madison, Indiana, and he went to St. Meinrad's Seminary, and he became our pastor not that long ago, and he got through this project, and it's phenomenal. And anyone who is visiting or coming, I know some of the riverboats come through here. Right. Please stop by and see Prince of Peace. It's phenomenal.
Well,
really
Maureen, tell Father Chris we just send kudos to him for his leadership and doing what he did to just make it come alive again in a beautiful new way. And now it's going to be something where people come and visit, and like you said, and you can hear the excitement in your voice, Maureen, and that's beautiful. It's kind of a new beginning, and it's a chance for all of us to just celebrate our faith. Thank you, Maureen. Maria, we're not going to get to you, but please, you have a very interesting story about vocations booming in different priest orders. So please email us at take2@ewtn.com.
Well, great job, everyone. This was one of those, emotional shows in many ways, mixed emotions, I should say, but y'all did a great job. Let's pray for our bishops who have to make these decisions, our priests who are leading us, and let's continue to pray for more holy, prayerful, godly priests and religious men and women throughout our country, Deb.
Until tomorrow, folks, have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you real soon.
Dr. Agarendi, making your parenting more fit, making your kids have less fits, and making your husband wear clothes that fit. The doctor is in. Next.
Now, not only can you watch EWTN anywhere but anytime with EWTN On Demand. Get on-demand access to more than 12,000 EWTN programs, including live shows and specials, all in one place, all free. Just go to EWTN.com/on-demand. There's nothing to fill out, no memberships required, and no fees to pay. All you need is an internet connection, and you're good to go.